Can any of you remember the film from the 80s, Real Genius, with Val Kilmer? When Kent said, "Don't you know you have to check that your optics are clean?" And it got me thinking, actually, that I've connected the Ethernet cable to the digital box now, because I've got two Ethernet like ports for that, and I bet as I've taken out the TP-Link box, I've just kind of made sure my optics for my lab kind of thing are clean. So wish me luck. Get back to you in a bit.
The Little Root Lab is a homegrown, self-learning journey into IT and cybersecurity, narrated by Simon Arnold. It is being built from the ground up, documenting progression through systems, networking, and SOC concepts as it develops, including the mistakes, the learning process, and the real-world growth that comes with it. It is hoped that viewers find value in the series and are able to take something useful from the journey as it unfolds. Enjoy.
So welcome back, and we're going to do some brute force work today, and I just wanted to kind of give it to you live again, really. So, you know, these days, I have to see if that's okay, hang on. These days everything's more expensive. Computers are more expensive. I was looking at a ThinkPad last night with 32 gig, I think, for about €700, and I thought, oh, that'd be really good. That'd take the edge off of it a bit, really. So we're going to be doing some brute force work later, but I just want to kind of tell you the steps, really. So, you know, if you started up your own lab, I mean, there's a lot of 2013 Macs around, certainly in Germany, and you know, if you were to get that and it's in good condition still, you know, just get a USB flash drive, get Kubuntu on there using Etcher and Batcher. You know what I mean? Oh, Belina and Etcher, right? And flash Kubuntu with it. It's such a reliable piece of equipment, really. But there are a couple of things. I mean, you know, every time now I'm doing sudo systemctl status Wazuh manager, and it's always coming up with an active failed. So what I've always found is sudo apt, oh wait a minute, is basically then doing a restart of Wazuh manager all the time, and then just doing, you know, just doing the status of Wazuh manager to see that it's working again, really. I'm not using indexer and dashboard because I haven't got enough RAM to power the whole thing. But do you know what's so cool about all of this, before we get into it slowly, is that, you know, it's direct communication. I've just done sudo apt install open SSH -server, which is great, but I initially wrote that with an equal sign rather than minus, so that kind of told me off a bit. But it's lovely that you get direct feedback. So I'm going to carry on for a minute. I've opened the SSH server, and I'll get back to you in a little bit. But it's nice for you to join me on the journey and keep you up to date in a little bit. Okay, so that took a while today. I'm just going to turn off my fan for... No, that's the wrong way. There we go. Welcome back, and it's been really successful, actually, of what I've been doing. I have to say, before we get into this, really, all of you out there, if you're starting up your lab, SOC lab, please know all the inside out of all, like, the top commands. I can't express that any more. Like, what was it? I was looking at JSON, and maybe not JSON because I'm coming to that, but -TULMP. Let me just scroll through and see, really, kind of over the last hour what I've been doing really. What's really important to know, just to get fluent with sudo, you know, and to know when you see sudo that it's not foreign to you anymore, you know. Sudo system CTL status Wazuh manager, I can do that in my sleep, you know. What else? SSH, that comes up on the commands anyway when you're learning the top commands, like, you know, verbatim, I would say. Just looking at other ones here, the sudo journal CTL, that's really, really important. Tails really important. I'm getting my head around minus XEU at the moment. See what that's all about. I'm just giving you like a bit of a heads up of, you know, really just know them off pat, because you don't actually want to kind of like think, oh, I don't know that, what is it? I mean, basic things like who am I, host name, you know, you should all know on a air gap system before you even get cracking with like Wazuh and all that. That's just my opinion. So where am I right now? Oh my goodness. So today I've been continuing to build out a hands-on cybersecurity lab, understanding how security monitoring actually works in practice, specifically around SSH authentication, login and SIEM-based detection. You know, the minute I took out the TP link, my problems were solved. It was like the real genius thing I've said at the start of this podcast, right? You know, check your optics. And I kind of did. And you know what? From an optical point of view, the Ethernet cable actually wasn't in my MacBook properly. So wait for the click, and then you know that it's in, everyone out there. So the core of what I worked on today was setting up and testing SSH authentication services using Open SSH on a Linux environment. That was lovely. I generated failed login attempts on purpose to simulate real-world authentication failures. This gave me visibility on how these events are recorded at the operating system level and how they appear in system logs. So from there I went to log analysis. I used system logging tools to inspect authentication failures in real time and confirm that the system is correctly capturing repeated login attempts. And this part was important because it reinforced the difference between generating security events and actually observing and validating them in logs, right? Which is a key concept in SOC environments. So after that, and it wasn't necessarily that easy today, but I had a bit of a good flow going on. I began to working with the SIEM tool, Wazuh, which is used in security operation centers to detect and alert on suspicious activity, as we all know anyway. And the goal was to move from a passive observation of logs into active detection, where the system itself identifies pattern like repeated failed logins that could indicate a brute force attack. So I was kind of looking for the brute force attack kind of mention, as I got both terminals open, and oh yeah, I've stopped that. I was running the journal CTL and keeping the logs running. Yeah, that's it. Sudo journal CTL minus USSH minus F. And then opening up another terminal. Do you know what? I'm going to admit it. I always forget how to. Maybe it's just the German keyboard I'm using, but I have to press like Control and Alt and all that stuff, because it still doesn't make sense on how I can bring up the terminal. Like it's kind of like quite funny. It's like, oh yeah, press this one. No, it's still not the terminal. Where's the terminal? And it just suddenly appears to life. I mean, my memory, muscle memory on the keyboard is perfect, but it always makes me chuckle, and it needs to be a bit light-hearted sometimes. It's like I can't even get into the system. Let me just try, with my fingers a few times and go from there. Because if we don't learn this in a light-hearted manner and take it all too seriously, we're not really going to get anywhere, are we? So Oh my goodness, I had an XML. I somehow open up the Wazuh and the XML and put in something at the end. And it was in the wrong place, and you know what, I haven't got the brain to do that. So I attempted to configure a custom detection rule that would trigger an alert when multiple failed SSH login attempts occur within a short time window, as you do, right? And I'm looking right now, it's like authentication failure, authentication failure. I wanted to do it 5 times and see some kind of brute force attempt. Okay. So while I understood the logic and structure of the rule, I ran into configuration issues during implementation, which caused the monitoring service to fail temporarily. Like, I had to go back into Wazuh and take it out and save it and restart and get Wazuh running again, the manager, and it's fine. It's nice and healthy again. It's not like I didn't make it unhealthy. Anyway, so that turned into a useful learning moment because it highlighted how sensitive SIEM systems are to configuration structure and how small errors can affect the entire detection pipeline. Yeah, it really didn't like it, you know. Obviously I'm reading off a little bit of a script here, because I just want you to get the value of the processes that I went through today, and I can skip around a little bit, but I was able to restore the system back to a stable running state by removing that configuration change, and that reinforced an important real-world lesson. In security, engineering, stability and incremental change matter more than rapid experimentation. It really does. Like, my brain's full. I'm going to have to leave it for the rest of the day just to let that kind of stuff sink into my brain. So where am I now? Obviously, that a lot of, I'm looking for a job. Anyone out there? So at this stage, I describe myself as being a junior SOC analyst level in training. I'm comfortable with logs, understanding authentication events and experimenting with detection logic in a lab environment. I'm not yet at a production SOC engineering level where rules are fully stable and deployed in live environments, but I'm actively building towards that through hands-on work, right? It's fascinating. So importantly, I now understand the full lifestyle of what SOC teams work with. So what we're looking at, event generation, we're looking at log collection, analysis and detection logic, right? I've also gained experience troubleshooting real system issues when monitoring tools as they don't behave as expected. So my next step is to stabilize these detection rules and rebuild reliable alerting workflows so that brute force detection and similar use cases can trigger consistently without manual inspection. Because I was going from one terminal to the other, and that was great. It's always great to see stuff working. So overall, and thank you all very much for listening, today was less about finishing a setup and more about understanding how security monitoring systems behave when things go wrong, which is arguably the most important part of learning how SOC environments actually work. Thank you very much. I'm going to continue tomorrow, and I hope that you can turn up and listen. Thanks, guys. Bye.